Started. Okay, so basically the agenda for today is a brief introduction about A2K Technologies, and following that, our top support issues are basically installation issues, licensing issues, and just general software issues. Obviously, support's a bit of a wide-ranging area, so at the moment we're just going through sort of specific areas that sort of we get quite commonly. And if you have any questions or whatever as we go through, can you just write them into the questions, and we'll do some answers maybe at the end of the session. Okay. So in summary, A2K is a Autodesk Platinum partner, the largest channel partner in Australia. Have 150 staff across Australia, New Zealand and China. We've got offices in Brisbane, or all the major capital cities in Brisbane and Auckland and New Zealand, I think. We provide solutions for training, consulting and management firms specialising in design technology space. So as you know, we provide training on site in our main head offices as well as on site if required, and providing solutions if required as well to clients. Our product suite is there. The one you'll most likely be familiar with is Autodesk, of course, but that's all other products that we offer as well. And as I said, this is our matrix of what we provide. As you can see, software and training are our two bigger areas, as well as consulting, and our technical knowledge, which is webinars, which obviously what you're listening to now, and support. We provide online, over-the-phone support and live chat customer care support as well. This is our value propositions. I'll let you have a quick read of those. As for myself, my role here is providing technical support over the phone and over email. My background is I'm a mechanical design draftsman from mining, rail and petrochem industries, and I was a CAD administrator in the mining industry. Specialities are mechanical design and CAD system development. Okay, so getting on to the main support issues, the big one that we usually have, especially when a new version of Autodesk is released, i.e. 2014 this year, and usually Autodesk now provides yearly updates to all their programs, so there'll be a 2015 release, probably March, April next year. Our big issue usually is installation problems. With failed installations, the most common issues are, or most common solutions to the problems are, to ensure that all your Windows updates are installed. These are usually released every couple of months or a couple of weeks. As you know, you'll get the notification within your Windows system. If you do have an installation issue, that's one of the first things to check to make sure all your Windows updates are installed. Second one is to turn off user access control. To do this within Windows 7, you go to Start, Control Panel. Hang on, bring it over to the screen. User accounts. Use access control settings. And so basically you want to turn those off. Looks like we're having a slow day today. So basically that's where you access them anyway, and then you can turn them off through there. So yeah, so basically once you get this screen, change it down to never notify and go OK, and that'll ensure that your user access control is turned off. There you go. So the next one is to ensure your user has local admin rights. It is advised that the user has local admin rights during the install and the first time that you run the program. This will, Autodesk basically assumes that the user has full local admin rights on their machine. If you have any issues during install and IT insists that they don't want you to have admin rights, contact support and we'll send you a link to the page where Autodesk says to strongly recommends that you do have this. That solves a lot of issues with your installs. The next one is to add star.autodesk.com to your Internet Explorer trusted sites. To do this within Internet Explorer, I'll bring it over for you. Okay, in your tool options, go Tools, Internet Options. When that comes up, go to Security, go to Trusted Sites and Sites. So in here, just type in star.autodesk.com and then add and then close. If it won't add, sometimes this button here may be ticked. You just need to untick that and then it'll add it to that website. So once it's in that box there, it's okay and it'll be added to your list. And that basically allows AutoCAD full access to, when AutoCAD is doing its install, full access to the Autodesk website, and needs that to download content and to verify licenses and that sort of thing. Okay, so that's another one too. I would recommend doing that before any installs that you do. Okay, the next one is to delete all the files in your temp folder. Usually that temp folder is in the same location, but the easiest way to get to it is to type in, I want that one, in your address bar in Internet Explorer, type in %temp%, enter, and that'll take you to your path temp folder. So yours will be similar to that, probably with your username in there. Basically delete all the contents out of this folder. Any ones that are being used will obviously not be deleted because there'll be a lock on them, but that, especially during failed installs and that sort of situation, the temp folder will contain like a corrupt file effectively, so deleting that will get rid of that file and hopefully allow the install to proceed. And lastly, turn off virus protection and firewalls during install. There's been well-documented issues online with Trend Microsecurity, also Kaspersky, and not so much with Norton and McAfee, but Kaspersky and Trend Micro. So if you do have issues during your install, same thing, turn off your virus protection. Basically the same thing as the reason to allow access to this site is that the install was trying to access the internet to download content, etc., and your virus protection's blocking it, so the install will fail because it can't download what it needs to. So turn it off during the install, and then obviously turn it back on straight away after you've finished installing. Okay, if installs fail, or after your installation is completed, make sure you update all your service packs and for the products that you're trying to use after you've opened them. I've put in a hyperlink here. We can send out the PowerPoint if you want to afterwards, showing with the links to the pages, but basically that hyperlink takes you to this page here on the Autodesk website. So you go to whatever product you've got, click the updates and service packs, then click on what product you're using. So AutoCAD 2014, you'll see there's the AutoCAD 2014 Service Pack 1. Download these. Earlier versions for 2013 there's Service Packs 1 and 1.1 and 2, etc. So make sure you've installed all of these for the correct product. As far as, like, you'll see there's also a lot of hot fixes and that sort of thing there. Usually we only recommend that you install the hot fix if you have the issue. Don't install it if you're not having the issue. The Dgn hotfix I'll go into later. That's a bit of a separate case. So that's your Autodesk webpage. You'll notice that Revit's not on the main list here. There's two ways to actually get to Revit. You can do it through here. Click down Autodesk Revit, or my usual shortcut is I just go to the Revit LT updates. and that takes you, and it's got all the Revit products on here as well as the LT products. I don't know why Revit's not on that main page, but that's the workaround. Okay, so I'll go back to current slide. So for Inventor, one of the main issues with Inventor is migrating your content center from your previous version to your current version. Especially if you've got Vault installed, it becomes a bit more, bit harder, a bit more involved to do. Once again, this link here will take you step by step to migrate your content center across. Also, with 13 to 14, there's been the way the material libraries are treated. There's a special. You've got to be a bit more careful with how you actually do your migration for the materials from 13 to 14. If you've got any questions on or issues with that, please contact support, and we'll send you the link how to go through doing the migration. Obviously, it's probably a bit too involved to get into during this presentation. PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, so other simple installation things to check if you're having issues is that Inventor and Vault should always be on the same version. So Inventor 2013 should be run with Vault 2013, or Inventor 2014 should be run with Vault 2014. We do not recommend having two versions of Vault running. Oh, sorry, two different years of Vault and Inventor running. They seem to talk to each other a lot more nicely if they're both on the same year. And also with Vault, all the Vault server and client should always be on the same service pack. So any client Vaults, if you upgrade one to Service Pack 1, you need to upgrade all clients on the project up to Service Pack 1 as well. Otherwise, you will get issues with Vault talking to the Vault client talking to the server. Another thing with Revit, making sure that the Australian content is installed. By default, I don't think it is installed. So basically, you need to go through your control panel. You basically go back to your install, and then you add remove features. And part of the add remove features is adding the Australian content. So you just go through your programs and features. Up. So go to your Revit. This probably won't work because it'll be installing off Built-in Design Suite, but basically you'll get your install splash screen pop up. On there there'll be an add remove features, and in that you can change your Vault or your Revit install, so and add the Australian content or any other content from other countries that you want as well. Okay, the last one for installation is installing object enablers. Once again, object enablers are required if you are running Civil 3D or receiving files from clients with Civil 3D proxy objects in there, or as you can see here, the list here, Map 3D, Mechanical, MEP, Plant, etc. Also for third-party applications as well, such as ProSteel and any other software like that. They'll have AutoCAD object enablers. So basically, for example, if your client's drawing stuff in Bentley ProSteel and you open the drawing and you can't see it, you basically need to go to the Bentley site and download the object enablers for the Bentley product. These ones here are for all the Autodesk products. So if you're opening a drawing with Civil 3D objects in it in AutoCAD and you don't have Civil 3D installed, to be able to view those objects properly, you need to come into here and basically download the Civil 3D object enablers. So there's your Civil 2014 object enablers, so structural detailing, plant, etc. So if you're getting proxy objects show up in your file, I would go in and install these object enablers, and then they should show up. You can't edit them, or you don't see the smarts of the 3D objects or the proxy objects, but you can actually at least view them properly in your drawing. So they're recommended to install those as well. Okay, so they're the main installation issues. From what we've seen so far, install issues do not appear to be operating system specific. So Windows 8, you do get problems installing it, but it's the same problems you get on Windows 7. So usually the same solutions basically that we provide for Windows 7 seem to be working on Windows 8 so far. So that seems, like I said, that's our current read on the situation. We haven't seen anything specific for Windows 8. The other one that we get quite a bit is ensuring your updates and service packs are for the correct product. Where this mainly comes up is people who used to use Revit architecture 2010 or 2012, and in 2014 are now using Revit, but because they're used to using Revit architecture, they'll download the Revit architecture service packs and updates, and they won't install because Revit 2014 is a different product to Revit architecture 2014. So just another thing to check if you're trying to install your updates and service packs and it's saying it's not working, make sure you're downloading the ones for the correct products. And lastly, one other thing we've seen with installations is downloading the actual software initially. If you can't access previous versions, the Autodesk website only has basically the 2014 versions as trial versions, etc. If you wanted to download 2013 or 2012 Building Design Suite, for example, to install it, one good way we've actually found to get around it is using the virtual assistant. Now, the virtual assistant is basically on the Autodesk website. The link here will take you to this page. It's actually usually just a pop-up, hence why it's restricted to this size. But basically, in here, go to Downloads and Installation. Click on that. Go to Software Download Links. So I need to re-download my product. So, okay, if you want an Autodesk Suite, I want Building Design Suite, Autodesk Building Design Suite Premium. So basically on here you now have access to the 32-bit, 64-bit versions for 12, 13 and 14, and you can download them. And if you click on it, say I want 64-bit, part 1, it'll start doing a browser download. So you can see they're about 4 gig each. So basically they're the USB or CDs you used to receive. Basically that's what these downloads are. So that's a quick and easy way to get access to older versions or even to get to the current version. Like I said, if you want the link for that, just get in contact with us and we'll send through the links, the PowerPoint, sorry, that has all these links in it. Okay, so that's installation issues. The next one, the main area we have, again, is licensing, and obviously this occurs usually around the same time as installation issues. One thing with standalone licenses is if you have to reboot your PC for whatever reason, re-image it, move computers, you get a new computer. Each AutoCAD or Autodesk product, standalone product, has an activation limit. So there'll be the numbers 2 or 3 where you can actually do the automatic activation through the program, and it'll go to the website, get your activation code and bring it back. Once you've reached that limit, basically you have to go to this web page and fill out a registration form. So if we go back to Google, so basically if you go to that page, you'll get to here. So you basically click registration or activation of a product, fill in your information. You will get a request code. Usually if you're doing your once you've filled in here, a window will come up saying request code, and you'll get that usually when you're trying to activate your product. It'll spit out a 24-character request code. Fill it in. So you fill in the whole page, hit next. Basically, it'll send it to Autodesk, and Autodesk will send that activation code out to you by email. If you want, you can send the request code through to us at support. We'll fill the form out for you using your serial number and your information we have on have in our system, and basically hit next and the email will get sent out to you. But yeah, if you don't want to or don't have time to come in, all we need is the request code and your serial number, and we'll be able to fill the form out for you to get your activation code sent to you. to you. Okay, next one. Home installation. Okay, if you're a subscription customer, part of your entitlement as a subscription customer is home installation. Basically, home installation on a network, on a standalone license, is basically you just use your serial number. So again, this web page here has a how-to guide on how to request your home license. So if we just scroll down quickly for standalone licenses, submit a home use license application. So basically, you install it on your home computer, and you'll use one of your activation codes. So if you then have to reinstall it at work or at home or whatever, you'll have to go through the activation online that we just saw before. However, if you're a network license, you need to go through and fill out this home license agreement. And basically, to do that, your contract manager or your software coordinator has to do it for you. So, yeah, it's a bit more involved if you're on a network license, but basically just follow these steps and they'll send you out a serial number so you can use it on your network license. So you can install it at home. So basically, you'll have as many home installs as you have seats on your network license. So if you've got a 4-seat network license, you'll be able to have 4 home activations. If you've only got a 1-seat network license, you'll only be able from current slide. Okay, the other is using your license transfer utility to move license. If you have AutoCAD, for example, on your desktop at work and you need to go on site and you want to move it onto a laptop, instead of going through the activation online procedure, you can use the license transfer utility. Basically what it does is it uploads your license. You basically use the license transfer utility so you can take a laptop out on site and come back to your office and then transfer it back to your desktop. So again, the link here is another how-to using the transfer standalone Autodesk, so you can use that basically to machine. So like I said, it's a say with using the license transfer utility is that it sometimes does corrupt, so you probably will at one stage eventually have to do another activation online. But it usually works okay, but we do get cases where it won't transfer the license back. So if you get to that, you just have to reactivate your product. Next one. Slide. Okay, so if you have an active subscription network license, or an active subscription license, this includes your current version plus 3 previous versions. So example, if you have a 2014 license, it allows you to use the 2014 product as well as the 2011, 12, and 13 product. If you have a license that you bought, an AutoCAD, say, or 2013 license, and you stopped using subscription, you basically only have rights to use the 2013 version of that product, whereas if you're on active subscription, you're allowed to use the current plus the 3 previous versions. If you do want to use 2008, 2009, 2010, etc., you have to go through the activation online and request an earlier version from Autodesk directly. The 2011, 12, 13, 14 we can do for you, but 2010, etc. earlier, then they have to be done online. When you get a network license, the network license will include all 4 versions on the current serial number. So basically, if you install a network version for 2014 AutoCAD, you can basically install 11, 12, 13 AutoCAD on your machine, and the network license will allow you to use any of those versions. Whereas with the standalone license, if you want to use a previous version of a product, you have to get a specific serial number for that version. So if you've got Building Design Suite 2014 on a standalone license and you want to use Building Design Suite 2012, you have to request from Autodesk a serial number for 2012, and they'll send it out, and then you can proceed with your install. That usually needs to be done through Subscription Center, so you can either send through the request to us and we'll request a previous version for you, or you can get your contract manager to go through and do it through Subscription Center. So that's a slight difference between the network licenses and the standalone licenses. Okay, if you're having troubles installing during and licensing issues, one thing that we've usually found is if you've installed a trial version and then you've bought the subscription, and now you're trying to upgrade your license to a standalone license, and it's not accepting it. We usually advise to uninstall the trial version and then install from supplied USB media, or download the product from Subscription Center and install it from that download, not the trial version download. By rights, it should upgrade from the trial version to a standalone, but we found more often than not it doesn't. So our usual recommendation is to try and uninstall the trial version and just, as I said, reinstall from media downloaded from Subscription Center, or if we send out a USB. Another one is if you've installed a product and it's been working fine, and then all of a sudden it won't open. So you basically open the product, it gets to the splash screen, and then just shuts down and says it can't find an active license. One issue that is recommended is to click on the or delete the cascadeinfo.cas file. So basically, the corruptinfo.cas file, this is a link here which will show you where it is. In Windows 7, it's under C drive, Program Data, Autodesk, ADLM. So if I open up, okay, here, I'll move this across. Now, on your C drive, by name, okay, so you've got Program Data. The only thing is Program Data is a hidden folder, so if you don't actually see Program Data on your list, you need to go to your control panels and show hidden files and folders. So you can see here how it's slightly grayed out. So if you can't see it, you need to do that before it will become available. Go to Program Data. Slowly. Okay, it looks like it's decided to not work for me. There we go. Autodesk. Once again. And ADLM. And then the cascadeinfo.cas file is in there. Basically, that file is your records the cascading information for the licensing. So you can see here the cascadeinfo.cas. Before you delete it, you have to make sure you have all your Autodesk products shut down. So at the moment, I've got Autodesk, Inventor, and Revit open, so that's why it's locked. Basically, shut all your Autodesk products down, go in here, delete that file. So basically, when you start up your product again the next time, it sees that that file's not there, and it automatically regenerates the file from scratch. So it's basically, this file's become corrupt for whatever reason. Deleting it and recreating it seems to help solve that problem. So that's one quick solution anyway to the file not opening, or the product not opening. Okay, the other one is if you change your server MAC address, you're required to get a new network license file has to be generated. So if your server dies and you need to recreate your server, there's going to be a new MAC address, even if it's the same server name. You have to regenerate the license file for the network license to work. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Now I'll go through a few brief general software issues. These are the main, like obviously with support you get lots of specific issues. These are just ones that we've seen quite a bit. I mentioned it earlier, the Dgn Purge hotfix. It's available for AutoCAD 12, 13 and 14, and that's vertical, so like Civil 3D. One thing at the moment, it's not available for AutoCAD LT. And what this actually is I'll show you very briefly. So basically, this is a file we had from a client, which I've cleaned out and just put a box in here. You can see the actual file is about 6 meg, and there's probably 2 blocks in there. And when you run a purge, if it'll let me purge, It's very slow, very cumbersome, takes ages. As you can see, there's really nothing in this file. The dead giveaway that you've got this issue, I'll show you in a second, but basically what it is Autodesk has come in contact with the MicroStation DGN file at some stage, and it's somehow loading excess blocks and line types and all that sort of thing into your drawing, and it's just blowing the file size out. So you can see here there's like 2 or 3 blocks in here that shouldn't be this big basically, but the dead giveaway is if in your purge, click on view items you cannot purge, go to your blocks, and if you have a list of blocks looking like this, saying star A100, etc., you've got the Dgn purge issue. So basically, if you run a normal purge on the drawing, it doesn't get rid of those blocks, and your file stays bloated. I don't know if I've actually got it loaded in this drawing. Okay, unknown command. So you need to do a net load, and this is all in the README file for the hotfix. So it should be Dgn ls purge.dll. So if you load that, and then type in Dgn purge, it should hopefully run through. I always thought it was going to be a bit risky running this during the webinar. Okay. Looks like you might have to take my word for it on that one, but basically Dgn Purge will run. It'll basically clear out all those blocks and line types, etc. And on this particular file, when we ran it for the client, the file went from 7 megabytes down to about 500K. So if your files are becoming bloated and you don't see any reason why they should be, you need to use this, run the Dgn Purge. And I promise that it won't crash on you like it has for me. Okay, let's see if that continues at some stage. So that's one hotfix that I would have ready to go if you do start getting that problem, especially if you'll get receiving files from clients with that use MicroStation in their office in some way. That it's probably going to come through. It seems to have just come through in the last couple of versions of AutoCAD. So yes, I would definitely recommend getting that hotfix. Okay, another common software issue is with Vault. People using Vault Express and Vault starting to not work after a while, or the not being able to check in files, etc. Now with SQL Express, your different versions, basically there is a database size limit. So you can see here prior to 2005 was 2 gig, 2005, 2008 was 4 gig, and 2008 and 2012 it's 10 gigabytes. So basically, if you're running Express Vault and your project size is getting up towards 4 gigabytes, you might start getting issues with being able to check in and check out drawings. Solutions are to try and clear out your project or clean it up, or upgrading to SQL, to the proper SQL. The next one here is Plant 3D Local Data Cache Purger. Again, with using Plant 3D, after a while the performance starts dropping off and lagging. With that, basically if you run this PNP Local Data Cache Purger, it'll basically clean out your local data cache, and it'll allow for improved performance. We haven't seen anything that recommends running it regularly. I think because basically when you delete it, when you clean out your local data cache, the next time you open a project, Plant 3D has to regenerate the project cache on your machine, so that takes a bit of time. So I don't know if I'd recommend doing it regularly. I would do it just when you start to see performance lagging. One thing we've suggested to clients is to have put a link on the user's desktop so they can click it when they feel the performance is falling down a bit, so they can clean out their cache on their own sort of instigation rather than having it run automatically. Revit resetting user interface issues. Sometimes within Revit, people are having issues with Windows not showing up properly or just general corruption of the user interface. One thing we've seen that can help that problem is to delete this UI state.dat file. Basically, make sure you have your Revit closed down. Navigate to this folder, so Revit / and it'll be, if it's just Revit, it'll be Revit 2014, Revit Architecture, it'll be Revit Architecture 2014, etc. And delete the UI state.dat file. So that basically resets your Revit user interface. So basically, when you open up Revit, it should be restored to back to what it was. So if there's been any corruption in that UI state file, then deleting it will obviously allow it to be refreshed when you reopen Revit. Rapidshare Coordinates. This is one thing we sort of get questions about quite a bit, how to use shared coordinates on a project across a site. Just to give you a brief. Okay, so I'll go back to the AutoCAD Dgn Purge. It seems to actually have worked. So you can see through here it's deleted all the blocks that I'd already purged. There was 101,000 unreferenced strokes in the drawing. So after you've run the Dgn Purge, you still need to rerun a purge just to clean out the drawing as such. The other objects and drawings, purge all. You can see it's running a lot quicker now. And you can see that all those star A objects are now gone. So you remember the file was about 7 megabytes or 6.5 or something megabytes. If I go open that file now, it's 41 kilobytes. So obviously that cleans out a lot of stuff in your drawing. So like I said, it's one to keep an eye on it. Like I said, if your drawing files are becoming very bloated and that sort of thing, that Dgn Purge seems to solve a lot of those problems. Okay, so I'll just minimize that and I'll bring it across Revit. So I've done a simple site plan here basically, just with a couple of flaws in that. So to set up shared coordinates on a project, basically the way we recommend to do it is to have all your individual buildings. So these are all individual linked Revit files. Create them all and bring them into a site plan. So basically I brought all these in and they all just sat on top of each other and I've just moved them around so they sort of sit next to each other. So if I move this one here, because these all do have shared coordinates, you can see here now because they do have the shared coordinates and you're in the site and you've moved it, you hit a save now because it basically prompts you that you are moving it relative to the shared coordinates. That is there, so as you know, if you've got lots of stuff in a Revit drawing, you might accidentally pick it up and move it and not mean to. That prompt then comes up to say that you've moved something relative to the shared coordinates. Do you want to save? And obviously you don't sometimes because you've accidentally moved it. So in your manage, with your coordinates, so once you've set up your site, for each you just go publish coordinates. So, and then you pick on the one that you want to publish the coordinates to. I want to republish it to these ones. Let's go OK. Okay. Oh man, not again. Okay. So, and now close the drawing down, and it'll prompt me on the way out to say that you've moved. Oh, I have to cancel out of that. It'll prompt me on the way out to say that you've made changes to some of the shared coordinates. So you want to save it, or you can actually disable it as well. Save. Okay, so come back to the main screen, hopefully. Come on, there we go. So you can see here before, this is one that I'd moved earlier that I've linked that into. So now that the shared coordinates have been updated, it'll basically sit it into its right spot. So if I move it within here, it'll come up again and save now. And so if I just cancel that, it'll take it back. So if I move this over to here, go save now. Manage, oops, coordinates, publish, pick that, go OK, close, should get all the saves. And if I go back into the site plan again, this will now be moved over to here. So that's the easiest when you're managing a site with several Revit files in it, to have a general file that has everything inserted into it and manage it that way rather than do it through a single one of the working files. So it's better to just have an empty file that just has the links in it. I'm going to cancel and close, and I'll get the prompts again on closing. Okay. It's not running very quickly. Okay, so we'll go back to here anyway. Okay, so that's as I just said, you set up your site project file and then publish your coordinates to link files from this file. Just other general software issues with AutoCAD mainly, general maintenance issues. One thing we found is if you're getting crashing issues, make sure all machines are set to the same save version. So in your AutoCAD options, under the open and save, make sure all machines are running that same AutoCAD version. And if you have, if at all possible, make sure you're running the latest one, because if you're running an older version, obviously every time you close a drawing, anything that's in the new version that's not in the old version, it's going to convert across back to the old version. So even if you're need to save to 2007 to give it to a client, I would still personally run it in 13 and then do a save as to 2007 when you need to send it out to the client. If possible, in your office, have the all machines making sure they're saving to the latest versions. We've had a few issues where some people have changed it back to 2007 and then forgot to reset it, and then they started to get crashed in a while because there's different versions of AutoCAD files running across the network. Okay, other ones, purge all drawings at every opportunity. Place I used to work automated doing this on close and basically solved all crashing, not all, but a lot of the crashing problems by purging out all the drawings. It just gets rid of a lot of corrupt data that's within your AutoCAD file, and regularly doing it will help improve performance of your files considerably. Another one is minimizing folder path name lengths. So basically not having 10 levels to where your AutoCAD file is. Try and minimize it as much as possible and keep it as short as possible. And the last one is do not model outside the 1 by 10 to the 9 area. So within AutoCAD, if you start modeling, like the further away from 0, 0, 0 that you model, the worse the performance of AutoCAD comes. It's all right up until about like I said, 1 by 10 to the 8, 1 by 10 to the 9. Once you get outside of that area, you start having major problems, because the technical reason is basically AutoCAD calculates to 16 decimal places, and no matter what you do, there's always AutoCAD always assumes there's 8 decimal places after your decimal place, so that leaves only 8 numbers in front of the decimal place. So hence 1 by 10 to the 9, you start getting issues because you start getting above that 16-digit number. So if you're starting to see issues and things not lining up properly or things just being slightly out, check to see how far away you are from 0, 0, 0. I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's basically our general support issues. Like I said, if you've got any basic questions or whatever, send them through. Also, use our website to log a specific support issue if you have any. Just another thing before we go into closing, at the moment Autodesk is doing their Csat survey. This is basically sent out to all subscription customers. The way they score it is slightly differently to what you would think. Basically, as far as Autodesk is concerned, is a 7 or 8 is considered neutral, so anything below that is seen to be a negative, even though if you think our service is okay and give it a 6, according to Autodesk, that's negative. So scores of 9 and 10 are the only ratings that indicate a positive experience from your reseller, which is us. So if you do take the Csat survey and you're happy or satisfied with our service, at least please give us 7 or 8s or 9s or 10s. Anything below that is deemed as negative by the Autodesk scoring system. And that's all for today. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Thanks.